We're going to talk about all things back to business, not only from the Really Helpful Club's perspective, but also from your perspective, Sarah, because you've got the most fabulous story. Like so many of the amazing women that we work with, you had a super successful career in the financial services sector, and then became an entrepreneur. So I'm going to hand over to you, Sarah, to tell us a little bit about your story, if that's okay.
Thank you very much for that generous introduction. It's really nice to be here, and lovely to be able to talk to your community and see how we can, connect with one another. And I mean, I'm really looking forward to you talking about the Return Hub and the resources that you offer and how you help people, especially women, to navigate their next step. But I think we have a fantastic collaboration, and I think there's so much synergy between what we're doing, which is, it's just resonating so really nicely. So so thanks for that. Thanks for that introduction. And hope it sort of lives up to the the brief, as it were. So I think, for everyone that's watching, my story is, it's a very sort of well-trodden one that many people will recognise. So, so I started out, I went from school to university, I read classics and French at Oxford, and then I joined Baring Asset Management, as it was then, where I managed European equities for over a decade. And I think that the city is a great place to start your career. I absolutely loved it. It came with opportunity. It was exciting. It was challenging, intellectually stimulating, and it always had a buzz. I loved to bounce out of bed and went into work, even if it was quite early, every morning. But when I had my first child, I sort of took the opportunity, I guess, to pause, reassess where I wanted to be. And like I think many people, especially women, I took an extended career break and really to focus on my family. And now I have a 14-year-old and a 19-year-old, and I've been very lucky, I guess, to be able to devote myself to them. But, I guess it's interesting what you're talking about here is, yes, I have also made my own return to work. So I took my career break. It was very much, a positive choice, something that, I wanted to do. And what was the trigger? Why start your own business? And I had the idea for Really Helpful Club because, my light bulb moment was when I realized that everything that we're ever looking for in life is all about personal recommendation. It's about social affirmation. It's when I began to realize it's about the power of the network, the power of leveraging on our own networks and being able to access solutions and bluntly just making our lives that much easier to navigate. And like I think all sort of, all ideas really, it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. And so then I, went and launched it. And when I launched it, what is now 8 years ago, my vision, my ambition was to create a community where it was for like-minded people, a place where you could share advice, a place where you could connect with others. What we have now is an online community which is a unique network for curious, open-minded people. And, and I guess, my vision or our vision as a business is to be that supportive community, one that delivers trusted resources, valuable connections. And I think really importantly, at every age and every stage in life, to help you navigate those key transitions in life. And I think that's really where it kicks in terms of that, that overlap with Return Hub and what you're doing to help people as well. So here we are, 8 years on, we have grown into this vibrant network, this collaborative community. It's, it's unique. And can
I ask, Sarah, sorry to interrupt, the community, is it very much London based?
Well, it started as London. I'm Wimbledon based, and we have grown entirely by word of mouth. So it's completely self-selecting. So it's not for you. I'm far too old to get sort of upset about that. Go off and find your own thing. And so it more rather than being sort of geographically orientated or gender orientated or anything else, it's completely self-selecting. So it's about finding. I'm always very reluctant to use that word tribe, but it is about finding your thing where you feel like you belong, and it's a very inclusive community, one where it's completely non-judgmental. This is about if you think about those key transition points, they'll really resonate, I think, with, you know, with your audience, which is really, we're here to help you. Remember what it's like, you know, when you first enter the workplace, or when you have your children, when you take that career break and you want to return back to work, you know, and then maybe you want to start a business. Perhaps you, you know, hitting all those midlife challenges. You know, we never used to talk about menopause. We were really early to the menopause conversation, but these are really big transition points in a person's life, and, you know, and especially for women. And then, of course, you know, I think the conversation about the aging population is really starting to take hold now. And we're there, you know, whenever you enter a new stage in your life, it's quite discombobulating, and you need to go and find your thing, your people, the resources, the thing that helps you to find those solutions and navigate your way through it. So that's rather a sort of long-winded way of saying, are we just London? We've got a huge density of people in London, and, you know, we've got a community now of over 15,000 people.
Wow.
And we have a wonderful team. I'll chat about those in a sec, but you know, we're now in Hampshire and Surrey and Sussex with boots on the ground. But we get people tuning into our webinars, for example, from, you know, everything from, you know, the Lake District to you know, South Africa to Australia. You know, bluntly, we don't care. You know, if we're helping you, guess what? We're really happy to help you. And that's sort of you know, that's what we're about.
Yeah, well, the conversations that you have are important for so many people. It doesn't matter where in the world you're based. If you can tune in, there's going to be something for so many people to benefit from. And obviously, and talking of that, obviously, I think it was a couple of years after you launched, because we didn't launch until 2016, where we really first spoke about your fabulous Back to Business event. And that obviously really resonated with us, because that's what we do. That's what it says on the tin at the return hub. And and it was just such a fantastic event to have in person, and you had some fantastic speakers. Can you tell us a little bit about how that particular offering and event came about?
Yeah. Well, you know, kind of rewind slightly. You know, we bring our network together with events for our community and for corporates, for schools. And, you know, together with my wonderful team, with Caroline running the events, the team in Hampshire I've just talked about, Rona and Francesca, who run Really Help the Club in Hampshire, Surrey and Sussex. What we're doing with the entire events program is, you know, is offering you a great way to learn something new, always an ability to extend your network and make those new connections. And with that, you know, comes confidence. And our three sort of, our events really are sort of centered around the three pillars of our business, which is your well-being, your prosperity, and your home. And as I mentioned, you know, we were very early to the menopause conversation, so everything around well-being, your home life, you know, your parenting, family conversations, etc. But a really core area of where we feel we really make a difference is helping people take their next step in their careers. And I remember vividly where I guess the idea came to me. We, you know, we held a lunch at the London Rowing Club back in, I think it was May 2015. And what it was really to do was to mark the first year that the women's boat race moved from Henley to London. So, you know, catching up with the men. And what I felt, it was symbolic in so many ways. You know, this was about keeping women engaged in sport, you know, not just women, but young girls, and, you know, keeping them involved in sport, but also about empowering women and empowering the younger generation, you know, in every aspect of their lives. And it was at this lunch, it was a room full of 100 talented, well-educated, connected women, that I realized I wanted to create a platform that would inspire and empower women to take not just their next step and navigate their way through life, but to navigate their way in their careers paths as well. And that is how the Back to Business program began.
Fantastic. So tell us, when people go to the Back to Business event, which obviously I've been to a few times, tell us what they can expect.
Well, we've got this year's coming up. Which is coming up on the 1st of March, Wednesday the 1st of March. And I have to say, I think it's one of the best things we do. We've had, you know, obviously we saw you in person when it was 3 years ago, and then
Mm-hmm.
we moved online with the whole pandemic, and it was a great thing to do because of course that opened up the opportunity to people to be able to tune in from wherever and whenever and stuff. But there's nothing like doing it in person, and we are so excited to be back in person. I have to say, bit of trepidation, we're sort of nervous. We always get nervous about anything we ever do, which is not a bad thing. And so it's on Wednesday the 1st of March. It's in Putney, so back in Putney, and it's at Roehampton University, where they've got the most beautiful conference centre. The overriding theme is unlocking your future, and again, it's symbolic. This is about you. It's about the person attending. It's not about me. It's not about the speakers. It's not about the people who deliver the amazing workshops and stuff. This is all about the attendee, and this is about them taking control of their career, whether that's as an entrepreneur, returning back to the workplace, to the corporate world. It's around finding your financial freedom, which I think is so important. It's all about building your confidence, because when you have that confidence, you can take on the world. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can navigate your next step forward. So what are you going to get from this year? Well, it's a day of inspirational talks, expert workshops, and loads of opportunities to make new connections. And guess what? Everybody leaves with a smile on their face. It's just such an uplifting day. It's great fun. And so we've got lineup of great speakers. We're going to hear from
speakers. Who are the speakers?
So but I have to say, when you were in that panel, oh God, it was brilliant when you spoke. I think it was 4-5 years ago. Everyone has they lose context of time these days. But so who have we got? We've got Rob Gardner, and who I know you all know from financial services. And
Absolutely.
Rob is really
friend of our business. Amazing entrepreneur, so inspirational.
Amazing. There you are. So, I hope that's going to resonate with your audience. And what Rob is going to do, I mean, he's just an inspiration to so many people. And you'll know, he's going to talk about his journey from, financial services, where, of course, he was head of investment at St. James's Place, to Rebalance Earth, and his focus all on biodiversity, carbon capture. And I think really importantly, bringing it down to us as individuals, not just as businesses, what we can each do to make a positive difference and create that world that's worth living in. So that's Rob. We've got Stephanie Betts, and Stephanie is founder of London and Avalon, which for many people might know as Josephine Home. And it is the home of luxury and beautiful, sustainable bed and bath linen. And I love the title of her talk. It's How to Build a Business from Your Kitchen Table. So this is for anybody who's just got even that spark of an idea, or they are looking, they're running their side hustle, they're looking to take it to the next stage, or they're running a successful business already and they're thinking, well, I want to take it to the next level, but I want to hear it from someone who's done it. And so, really super excited to hear from her. We've got Baroness Nikki Morgan. So we're thrilled to have her on board. And of course, I think she brings a really interesting perspective, and she's going to be talking about the importance of women in the workplace in the 2020s. So again, I think really, really pertinent, particularly around this conversation of getting people back. How do we encourage people back into the workplace? Well, it starts with government, and then it starts with corporates. And so really looking forward to her perspective. And then we also are going to hear from Eliana Sides from Y-Tree, our sponsors. And her talk is all about finding your financial freedom. And I'm really excited that the conversation really seems to be getting underway now about how each and every one of us needs to become financially literate. We all need to feel that financial security. Well, the only way you're going to do it is to get on top of it. Treat it a bit like getting fit at the gym. You need to know your position. You need to understand what you're doing. So I'm really excited to hear from her. And then if that wasn't enough, we're going to have Esther Stanhope, who is...
she's amazing.
Do you know Esther?
She is amazing.
If there's a party that needs starting, Esther's your man, but Esther's your woman. And you'll know this, I imagine, from the Return Hub, is imposter syndrome is a killer.
Absolutely. I have so many amazing women who come to us who are, educated up to the eyeballs, have got experience at some of the toughest, most demanding organizations in the world, and have kind of thrived and survived in these firms. And when they come to me, and I say this, not all women, but so many, they start to tell me all the things that they can't do.
Mm.
and,
Yeah.
and it's extraordinary. And I have to tell them, sometimes I say to them, what you need to do is print off your CV, stick it to the fridge. And every time you open the door, have a look at it and think, God, who's that amazing? What an amazing CV. And remind themselves of all the things that they've actually achieved. So we all, I think, or so many of us definitely have experience of the imposter syndrome.
It's so true, isn't it? And show me someone that doesn't. I'd say at every point in your day, at some point or other, you're going to feel it. And you have to, find a way to navigate it. So, and you'll know, I mean, you've heard Esther speak. It's, she puts such a positive lens on it. And I think, she will be just brilliant. And she's going to talk about not just women in imposter syndrome, but men in imposter syndrome too. So, so really excited about that. And if that wasn't enough, we're going to give everyone a lovely lunch, plenty of coffee breaks, plenty of networking. I hate the word networking, but plenty of opportunities to connect with lovely, people. Yeah. And I would say, you never know, actually come to this thing, you never know who you're going to meet. It could be your next business partner, your next client, your next, your employer, your employee, and if nothing else, just actually meet really interesting people to go away with and, and to take from it. And then we sort of reconvene in the afternoon and we run these roundtable workshops and everything from digital marketing. So we've got the team from Vodafone coming, talking about, you've been told how to start your business from your kitchen table. And now it's how do you market this thing? How do you grow it? How do you do stuff? We've got another great workshop from Ytree on those steps towards your financial freedom. We've got Victoria McLean talking about LinkedIn. And then we have got Alex Webb talking about finding your North Star, which I think great topic title. So lots. And then, of course, because a big theme of the conference is around sustainability, of course, we've got a thing about that too. So, I defy someone to say that there isn't something in it for them.
Fantastic. Yes, because it's for people who are wanting to go back into a corporate career, potentially, as much as it is about people thinking about stepping up into the kind of world of entrepreneurship,
of course,
and all the fun and games that brings with it. And what some of the tools, obviously, that we've developed at the Return Hub through the Career Academy are very, very sort of aligned to the relaunching a corporate career, particularly within financial services. And you mentioned Victoria McLean there, the brilliant, hugely talented businesswoman and force of nature that is Victoria McLean, who we've worked very closely with in the past, and she's been a fantastic collaborator as well with some of the content that we have on the Career Academy on the Return Hub website. So hopefully lots and lots of resources there for anybody who is wanting to step back onto the career ladder. Now, you've obviously been running this event now for a few years, and there have, I'm sure, been some fantastic stories.
And so we had a wonderful lady who came to our conference back in 2018. She wrote to me afterwards and she said, when I came to your conference, I was at rock bottom. I was about to get divorced. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I was really struggling. And she said she came to the conference and it was one of those pivotal moments. We didn't answer all her questions. Of course we didn't. No one possibly could. But she walked into a room. It felt friendly. It felt collaborative. She could feel, the sort of rich, diverse sort of room of people. And it was all about her and what she was going to do. And she wrote to me about a year later and she said, now I can tell you what I did with that conference. And she said, I've gone on to have a portfolio career. I've managed to save enough money to get back on my feet and I'm about to take out a mortgage and I no longer feel bound to my now ex-husband. And to me, it is worth putting on that conference just for that story and, just for that person. And, and again, and I think often they then take their first step and then they're ready maybe for the Return Hub. They need to sort of take that first step. It's fascinating. And then we had another one. She was running a very successful business and she was looking to take it to the next level, but she didn't know where to go for funding. And she'd only just heard of Really Help the Club. So she comes along, but, what am I coming to? All that sort of thing. And it was at that conference that I'd say she made the connection of her life. Certainly of her business life and, perhaps of her life. And it led to her raising not just thousands of pounds of financial support, but hundreds of thousands of pounds. So I think we help people from, you know, all sorts of levels. And I know, you know, but most of all, it's the noise in the room, it's the smiles on the faces, it's the stories you hear afterwards. But it's about that untapped talent, and you don't know what it is. And I think that is where, you know, I mean, I want to sort of throw it back at you in the Career Academy, because I think, you know, the conversation is changing at government level, it's changing at societal level, but there is so much untapped talent, whether it's these, you know, early retirees, it's women, you know, who are well educated, they're talented, they're great at what they do, but how do we encourage them back in? And I think that is, you know, that's where you guys come in, and you are, you know, we're just a step in the process, but I think what you're doing is amazing. So tell us a bit more about the Academy and what they get from that.
So the Career Academy, first of all, to say it's a totally free suite of online digital tools to help anybody with career relaunch or career development. And that was really developed during lockdown, as we had a little bit more time on our hand than we perhaps would have liked. And we've always very much felt that, you know, we can't get everyone a job, right? We've got over 4,000 candidates on our books. We, you know, much as we'd love to, that's not realistic. But I felt very passionately when I set the business up that we had to have something to offer everybody that will help everybody on their career journey, whether it's a career relaunch, whether it's career development, whether it's a career pivot, whatever it is. And there are some basic skills that we have expertise in that are directly focused on the financial services industry that will help everybody regain some sense of control and some sense of agency over their career journey at whatever point they're in. And obviously the obvious tools are things like CV writing, masterclasses, LinkedIn profile writing, interview skills. There are lots of assessments on there. Some of them are very interactive assessments, content, and blog from career experts that we've partnered with. So there's lots of really rich content. It's totally free. For anyone who's interested, just go and have a look at it. You get there through the Return Hub website, and you'll see the button for the Career Academy. We also have the Career Academy for Business, which is all about going in and working with companies to help with them with things like interview training and coaching hiring managers when they have individuals returning from parental leave. But really there is something hopefully for everybody on their career journey at that mid and senior level. And as I say, it's totally free. And
That's
I think
amazing,
what I would say is just to your earlier point is, I think for both of us where we're at, the Back to Business conference and the Return Hub with the Career Academy, it doesn't matter what point of your journey you're on. By coming along to the Back to Business event or signing up for the Return Hub, you're not deciding that you want to go back to work. You're taking very often those first steps in thinking about how does that feel? How is it going to work? Is it going to work? And doing your research and having those conversations that will help hopefully get you to a place where you're a little bit further along that journey. I think it can sometimes feel a bit like, oh, I'm not ready to go back to work. But you're not signing up for a job. You're not signing an employment contract. You're just beginning that bit of exploration, thinking I might be a year away, I might be 2 years away. And certainly in terms of getting a job, if it's going back into a corporate role, that whole process can take a really long time. You know, it's a competitive market. Getting yourself ready for the right opportunity at the right time can take, you know, it can take many, many months sometimes. So sort of just beginning to start off and getting everything in line and getting your head in the right place and starting to understand what are the tools that you need to get where you want to be ultimately is there's no time like the present.
And, you know, free resource and helping them, you know, anything that's there that helps you to reskill. And it's back to that confidence thing. You know, the more skilled you feel, the more proactive you feel you're being. I think that the confidence is just building subconsciously. The hardest thing of all is, I think, sort of cogitating about it at home, thinking, so what am I going to do? I'm going to write this, CV, or I'm going to write this covering letter. So, you know, why wouldn't you want to come to you where, you know, you're experts at this thing and you're current? I think part of the conversation is, how do I get myself back to being current? What does the workplace look like in, you know, now in 2023?
Yeah. And so talking about the next step, Sarah, how do people register for the Back to Business event, or what do they have to do? How do they get a ticket?
Oh, well, that's great. So they need to pop onto the Really Helpful Club website. If you look at the homepage, hard to miss the sort of great big sort of sign there that talks about the Back to Business conference. So that would be the first place you could go to. We'll also, I don't think we've put it in actually, so I'm being a bit remiss here. We'll put it into our link tree. So anyone that's watching now or later on if you share this. So yeah, it's great. So we'll look forward to seeing lots of people on the day.